Here I am going to discuss about induction type watt hour meter or energy meter. Okay, and what is induction type energy meter? The electromechanical type energy meter, what we use in our domestic and industrial installation, it is a single phase induction type watt hour meter. Although nowadays electric supply companies are replacing conventional electromechanical type meters by digital one, but still we need to know the basic function and constructional features of induction type single phase watt hour meter for our knowledge. Okay, this energy meter, it measure the electrical energy in a kilowatt hour. That's why this is known as kilowatt hour meter. And then we will see what is the working principle of a watt hour meter. Actually, the construction of watt hour meter is same as that of induction type watt meter. Moreover, the working principle of watt meter is more or less similar to that of watt meter, induction type watt meter. And here we do not provide any control spring and pointer in the energy meter. Instead of that, here we are providing a braking magnet. Okay, and next we will see the construction of a watt hour meter. In induction type watt hour meter, it mainly consists of a aluminum disc on the spindle. Here you can see this is the aluminum disc. Okay, this is the aluminum disc on the spindle between two electromagnets. These are the two electromagnets. So the disc is free to rotate. That's why the disc will move free to rotate. And we connect one electromagnet across the supply. Okay, this electromagnet we are connecting across the supply. So it makes the flux in this magnet that is proportional to the supply voltage. Hence it is called electromagnet as a shunt magnet. Okay, and this here the voltage, the flux induced at this magnet, that will be proportional to the supply voltage. And the core of this electromagnet have three limb. You can see this is first limb, second limb, and third limb. Normally, the central limb of shunt magnet hold the voltage coil. Okay, this is the voltage coil and it will carry the voltage coil. Now then we connect another electromagnet in series with the supply line that you can see in the diagram. Thus we call this electromagnet as a series electromagnet. Okay, this is the series electromagnet and this is the shunt magnet. And this series magnet consists of two limbs. Here you can see, and each of the limb hold half of the current coil. Okay, here the half of the current coil will be here and another will be here. Since we connect in series with the supply, the flux produced at this coil, that will be proportional to the supply current. And here the shunt magnet is connected across the supply. That's why the flux produced is proportional to the supply voltage. And here in series magnet, the coil is connected in series with the supply. That's why the current through the coil is that's why the flux produced and this coil is proportional to the supply current. Okay, this is the important components of a energy meter. Now another basic component we are using in watt hour meter is a braking magnet. Here you can see this is the braking magnet. This is nothing but a U-shaped permanent magnet. The edge of aluminum disc rotate in between the poles of this permanent magnet. These are the poles, okay, and this is the aluminum disc and it will rotate between these two poles. And the flux of this magnet that produce a eddy current in the disc. As a result, the arrangement provide braking torque to the rotating disc. Okay, this is the working of the induction type energy meter. Now we will see what is rotating torque of a induction type energy meter. Here we also provide a copper shading ring at the central limb of the shunt magnet that we have seen in the diagram. and this is to maintain a phase angle between the supply voltage V and the flux of shunt magnet, that is phi sh at a 90 degree. Okay, and here you can see shunt magnet. Here coils are there. This is to provide a phase angle between the supply voltage V, that means the voltage connected across the shunt magnet, and the because of this voltage a flux is produced at this, and that flux that we are denoted as phi sh. Okay, that flux that should be 90 degree, and the flux it induces an EMF. That EMF is denoted by ESH, that the shunt flux induce an EMF that is denoted by ESH, that will induce at the aluminum disc and which lag the flux by 90 degree. Okay, that you can see here, because if it is a phi sh, we know that always it will lag the voltage by 90 degree, because this is a coil, that is inductive load. That's why, because phi sh that is proportional to current through the coil, that's why the ESH is lags the flux by 90 degree. And then we consider a disc does not have an inductive property, so the EMF produce a eddy current in ISH in phase with it. Okay, now if you are considering, and here you can see this is the ISH. Okay, now if you are considering the load will be not a don't have any inductive property, so that we can write that the EMF produced, that is ESH, that is in phase with the current ISH. Hence ultimately we can say that the phase angle between phi sh and eddy current will be 90 degree. Okay, and here you can see in the diagram. Now let us assume that there is a phase angle theta between the supply voltage. Here you can see, now assume there is a phase angle between theta. Okay, this is the phase angle theta between the supply voltage. This will be the supply voltage and supply current I, and this will be the phase angle theta. And the current I through the series magnet, that will be produce a flux, that we know that the current through the series magnet will produce, that is proportional to current. Okay, and that's why the current through the series magnet that will be in phase with the flux produced at the series magnet, and also the flux induce an EMF ESC in the disc, and because of this flux it will induce an EMF that is denoted by ESC, that will be 90 degree lag with it. Okay, since the disc is purely resistive, the EMF produced eddy current ISC phase with it. Okay, because purely resistive the disc that is purely resistive the current through that will be in phase with the voltage, that we can write like this. Okay, now what happened here, two flux are there, one is series flux and already phi sh will be there. Because of interaction between phi sh and eddy current ISC, these are the eddy current ISC caused by series magnet, it produces a torque on the disc. Then we can write, because of torque we can write the expression of torque, that is T1 equal to K this is ISC, that is the current through the series magnet, into phi sh, that is the flux at the shunt magnet, into cos theta, that is the angle between voltage and current. Now similarly we can write torque produced due to interaction of series magnetic field phi sc and eddy current ISH induced by shunt magnetic field. Okay, that will be T2. If I am marking it as a T2, we can write T2 is equal to K into ISH, that is current through the shunt magnet, into phi SC, that is flux produced at the series magnet, into cos 180 minus theta. This we can get from the above phasor diagram. Okay, now from the above expression of two torques, we can derive expression of resultant torque, that is TD. How we will write is TD equal to, we can write it as T1 minus T2, and then what is T1? T1 is equal to K into ISC into phi SH cos theta minus K into ISH into phi SC cos 180 minus theta. Okay, then how we can write, if you solve this, then we can write K into K1 Vi cos theta. We have written ISC into phi SH is equal to another constant K1 Vi cos theta plus K2 into Vi cos theta. Okay, this is the value of ISC. Now we can write this equation as K Vi cos theta into K1 plus K2. Therefore, the TD deflecting torque, that will be proportional to Vi cos theta. Okay, now here you can see the function of braking magnet comes into the picture. Since the speed of this disc, that is directly proportional to rate of cutting of braking magnet flux by the disc, so the torque produced by the braking magnet on the aluminum disc, that is proportional to speed of the disc. Now let us assume n is the speed of a disc in RPM. Now we can write as the braking torque TB, that proportional to n. Okay, that is the speed, and at a steady state condition we know that TD become equal to TB. That's why we can write it as Vi cos theta, that will be equal to n. Okay, this is the final steady state position, the Vi cos theta, that will become equal to n.